they can really perceive us though.
Yeah.
Like kind of like you boring or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
not knowing the depth that we actually acting whole because
Yeah.
we move differently than the rest of the world.
Yeah. I mean, they start laughing about 5 or 6 say, yeah, we been wanting to say that. I said, okay. I said, you know, what the hell does that mean? You born, you born.
That's how the world perceives.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. I said, well, I just don't do what y'all do. I don't hang out. You know, I just go to the house and be with my family. Yeah. Yeah.
Like fire just passed by this.
Oh, okay. Man, I said, I ain't out here chasing no women, nothing like that. I love women. I ain't be trying to be where every man was doing, smoking weed and, doing commercials. Man, I ain't trying to do that. So what is it? Okay, I tell them, I ain't know what else to the day.
I ain't ever heard.
Yeah.
All right. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakah, double honor to the apostles and elders and GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth.
That's right.
Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth.
That's right.
We out here once again to let the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans know that we are God's chosen people. We're the Israelites according to the Holy Bible.
That's right.
We come out week in and week out to prophesy the downfall of this wicked kingdom known as America, which is Babylon the Great according to the Holy Bible.
That's
and
right.
it's ruled and ran by the so-called white man Esau Edom, which is the devil that the Bible speaks of. We out here to proclaim the return of our Lord and Savior, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. His true ancient biblical name is Yahweh Shai.
That's right.
He is a dark-skinned man with woolly hair, and he's coming back to bring salvation unto the elect of the nation of Israel and judgment to the rest of the earth, including 2/3 of our own people who refuse to repent and turn back to the Heavenly Father.
That's right.
And I had seen an article, well, not an article, it was a video uploaded by the brothers on my way down, in which I didn't get a chance to watch it or listen to it yet, but it was saying, it was breaking news that they plan on sending, I think, 5,000, was it Marines? I think they said 5. I know it was one of the branches of the armies, but I think it was 5,000 Marines, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see real quick. They sent it over to the Middle East.
Right.
Let me see real quick.
Check this feed.
Yeah. It's yeah. It says it's low. It says break it. This is from one of the brothers, Rise of the Hopeful Elect, GA, or Rise of the Hopeful Elect, New Jersey. It says breaking now, World War III escalation, 5,000 Marines moving to the Middle East. And that's all a part of the prophecy. The Lord said He was going to gather the nations from the west to from the east, from the west, from the north, and from the south, and He was going to gather them all together for war. And this goes into Joel chapter 2 as well, where it's talking about they were going to be in the valley of Jehoshaphat, or the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, which means the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, that's His true ancient name, Yahweh's judgment. That's what Jehoshaphat means, God's judgment. So He's gathering all these nations for war so He can judge these nations, for everything that they've done to the Israelites. And, we're going to get there. Second Esdras. Second Ezra chapter 16. Where it said he gonna gather from the ravens, from the west, from the south, and the Vanus, for paying to them what they've done. Second Ezra 15. Second Ezra 15, start at verse 14. Second Ezra 15, start at 14.
This is 2 Corinthians 15, starting at verse 14. It said, "Woe to the world and to them that dwell therein, for the sword in their destruction draweth near. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and the sword in their hand. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their king nor prince, and the course of their action shall stand in their power."
Right, so it says, "Woe to the world and to them that dwell therein, for the destruction draweth not." And this is the time we're living in right now. You know, woe means destruction. It's literally war going on. You got a lot of people, they see the oil prices going, oil prices, but they see the gas prices going up, and they see, you know what I'm saying, food might get a little more expensive, but they really don't, and you know, they probably hear about what Iran may or may not do, but a lot of people really still have their hope up in Babylon the Great. They still got their hope up in America, that America's gonna be able to fend off any attack or any attempt for attack for a country, for a foreign country trying to do over here. Because I forgot who, it was somebody, you know, I don't know if I can't remember who, but it was somebody I was talking to one day, or kind of listening to, having a conversation about the war, and they said ain't no other country gonna ever do nothing, or Iran ain't gonna ever do nothing else to America since 9/11. They said they can't do nothing else, you know? But what's going on right now is proving them wrong, you know? The war, what Iran is doing is strategic, and then they got Russia and China backing them up. And then not only just Russia and China, it was an article I seen, I think it was Sweden. I think they said Sweden, if they get involved, they're gonna join on the side of Iran. So you got countries that's literally stacking against Babylon the Great.
Right. And our people out there, the Israelites, you know, I know it called for our hopeful elect, but this place is done with. It's over with for, you know, the great Babylon. Whether you like it or not, this place is going down.
And these prophecies are kicking in, and a lot of these other country leaders know that, know the prophecies, and they know that Babylon will be destroyed. Right. And a lot of them are ready for a new beginning as well, because they're tired of living under the oppression of Babylon. Right. I mean, this man has went and oppressed everybody, and has literally destroyed everything on the earth. You know, that nothing is can really. I mean, it'll take years and years and years for this place to rejuvenate, you know, organism-wise, you know, trees and a lot of stuff have died off that is not, you know, the sea, for instance, to repopulate.
Right.
You know, it take years for it to multiply to be plentiful like it was at one time.
Right.
So these countries know, a lot of these leaders know, and they know that Babylon has the Most High's precious jewels in their hand, and you know, hold them and won't let go. So they know that destruction is coming.
Right. And it's coming. Whether you like it or not, it's coming. You might as well prepare yourself. And a lot of our people not. Cause they think this place gonna go on, you know, keep going on the way it's going. Cause that's what y'all like. Cause y'all think, you know, that this place gonna be him when y'all get off.
Right.
Yeah.
What I say, Sweet and Salaki, it was Sudan. It says Sudan warns it will join the war on Iran side if the U.S. and Israel launch a ground operation. And this was uploaded by one of the brothers. Now I'm finna see if it's an article about it real quick before you continue on.
And just like the brother was saying, you know, Jake, you know, now that Jake has a little leverage and some are riding a little higher than Esau, you know, they want this place to continue on, you know,
Right.
but, you know, it's got to come to an end. I mean, the wickedness has gotten so that nothing can thrive,
Right.
honestly, you know, and people don't trust people, and, you know, it's just to the point that, you know, if anything righteous come along, nobody wants to have anything to do with it.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
you know, so it's got to go. It's got to change.
It gotta change. And, you know, you go back probably about 20 years ago when Esau, Edom, they people striving. I mean, if that Esau high elite strive, even the lower class strive.
Right.
But when our people get on a level to strive, all our people don't strive. What is I'm saying?
Right.
You know, strive. You know, why our poor people can't strive with the rich Israelite people strive? Why we got to always be on the bottom? Why we all can't strive together? Because Edom's people strive together. Whether they high elite or lower elite, all of them strive together.
Right. We like those crabs in a bucket. You know, one make it to the top. You got one coming and pulling him down.
Yeah.
You know, bringing him back down to the level.
Right.
You know, so it's not, you know, unity there like it was back in the 50s and the 60s.
Right.
Because our people got along.
They got
and
along.
They helped each other
They
in the
helped
70s.
each other.
They
Exactly.
helped each other. You know, if you were down, they helped you
Yeah.
get back up. You know,
Yeah.
but now, you know, you could be down and they're going to stump you even worse if
They
they
gonna
can.
stop me what? They ain't gonna give you they what's the word they use? They ain't gonna give you their idea or their strategy.
Right.
Advice. Advice how to get to that, you know, or where you are now. They're not gonna do that. The first thing they wanna say, you can pay me for it.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean, you just got to get it on your own.
Yeah, you gotta get on your own, yeah.
So this is I found this is from Mad Science. This was a post. It says Sudan has, and this was a week ago. It says Sudan has issued a severe warning to the international community, declaring its intent to enter the conflict on behalf of Iran should the U.S. and Israel transition to a ground-based invasion. This declaration significantly complicates the geopolitical landscape as it introduces an African front into a war that has primarily been focused on the Middle East, which, again, remember, because this was a week ago, it was March 5th that this post was uploaded, and here we are, March 13th, and then they, like the brother just uploaded, it said breaking, they plan on sending, or they about to send 5,000 Marines to the Middle East. That's ground forces. It says, historically, Sudan has navigated a volatile relationship with both Western powers and regional actors, But this stance suggests a strategic pivot toward Tehran in response to perceived threats to regional sovereignty. The timing of this warning is critical following reports that the U.S. military planes have already landed in Iraq to arm Kurdish groups for a potential push into Iranian territory. So, which I ain't gonna read all of it, but I'll read the last paragraph. It says, ultimately, Sudan's ultimatum serves as a deterrent intent to halt the progression of a ground war that U.S. officials reportedly expect could last into September. So they saying this war can last pretty much all year long. And you know it's going to impact people significantly. As the U.S. maintains its pledge to support Israel until the end, the inclusion of new state actors like Sudan makes a diplomatic resolution increasingly complex to achieve. So again, it says Sudan warns it will join the war on Iran's side if the U.S. and Israel launch a ground operation. So, like the brother going back to the scripture, can you read the scripture again?
All right, this is 2 Ezra 15. This is 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands.
Right.
With swords in swords in their hands, like. And just like the brothers going into reading that article, I can see that happening because back years ago, people remember Desert Storm when they went in to take Afghanistan and to fight against Iraq. Those two wars, they went in, that was a strategic plan for them to go in and take over those countries. So when they got ready to come in to take Iran, they had a base and they had operations set up so they could strategically attack them and have ground. That's why they built bases all around, you know, so that they can strategically plan, attack, and see. So now, you know, the other countries are seeing what's happening. They're joining forces with Iran, you know, to help keep, because they know if Babylon take over Iran, that's a wrap for the rest of the country. You know, and they have no leg to stand on.
Right. And them sword, they're not physical sword no more, like, you know, what they call them sword, a big old knife. That means, you know, the sword is the machine gun, it's the given time now.
The rockets.
Yeah, the rockets, yeah.
Right, it's your modern day weapon.
Yeah, the modern day weapon, yeah.
And really, it's modern day weaponry along with, well, like I said, this is going into the war. It's going into the citizens too. You know, because America is the most armed nation on the planet. Where all of its civilians and its citizens, they have weapons. You know, they have firearms. You know, ain't no other country that's like that. Right. So, like I said, one people shall rise up against another with swords in their hands. They ain't gonna regard their kings. Their princes, many of their government officials, they're going to basically take matters into their own hands. That's what the citizens going to do, because the more this war continues on, the more difficult it is for people to actually live on earth. And then they already upset with the government. See, the Lord, he did all this. It's a perfect plan, you know. You just think about those e-files that done came out, you know, and all these people are starting to find out the truth about their government officials and their president and these political leaders, and then now you got a whole war that's further escalating, making people's lives more difficult to live. These people not finna regard the government, especially a lot of these Edomites. They're disappointed. You know, I done seen, I forgot what I was looking under. It was some post on YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, Facebook. But I can't remember exactly what it was going into. But I was reading the comments and I seen one of the Edomites, they had said that they had voted for Trump and now they feel ashamed that they had did that. They ashamed that they voted for him. You know, he actually admitted it. And it made me laugh because we still remember when these Edomites how long he been in office? Over a year now, right?
Yeah, over a year now. Yeah.
Yeah, when he got in office, well, really before.
It's been 2 years and some months now.
Yeah, back in 24, when he got elected in, these Edomites, they changed their tune. They changed their walk.
Yeah.
They started looking at us proudly. You know, they would walk, they were driving by blasting their music.
Yeah.
You know, and
Good
they had
boy.
their stickers on.
Yeah.
You know, they car, they buttons.
Yeah.
Now you don't see none of that.
No.
You know, they not proud that they voted for Trump anymore. You know,
Right.
but nevertheless, this is the result of them thinking that their empire was gonna continue on forever.
Right.
You know, and now, like I said, they finna rise up. Well, they already. Well, no, they finna rise up, but they finna go to another level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that civil war is about to invoke, because you got those that are with him, and then you got those that are against him, and so it's about to get ugly out there.
Yeah. Good old boy.
Right, and you know, I lost my thought now. Never mind. But verse 16, it says, "For there shall be sedition among me." Oh, I know what I was going to say. And this go back to Matthew 24, when the disciples was asking Yahweh Shai, what would be the signs of the end of the world? And he said, you know, there would be nations against nations, kingdom against kingdoms. But it's going into those nations against nations and kingdoms against kingdoms now. You know, because everything is dividing up, and some are jumping ship to get on the other side. You know, so the division is taking place now, and you are able to see the fine line now. And then the wars and rumors of wars is turning into the wars. You know, there's been past wars, there's been rumors of wars, and now we're in the war. You know, because it's World War III is here. It's been kicked off. You know, it's happening right before us. It just ain't got just abruptly, you know, deadly and physical.
It ain't got nuclear yet.
Well, nuclear be the end game, but you know, I'm just talking about in most wars, you got everybody shooting everything they got that's non-nuclear, you know, and ground troops in. But now they talking about sending ground troops. So when they send ground troops in, they talking about sitting outside the perimeter, firing those ground to surface missiles, you know, constantly, you know, bombarding them constantly with that, you know, so no end to it. You know, those drone missiles and those airplane missiles, you know, they hitting the pocket now. They trying to save some of those. They finna hit them start with the ground missiles.
Right.
So, you know, the strategy is getting more and more and more in depth. You know, okay, we're gonna set up here, we're gonna set up here, we're gonna set up here,
Right.
and we're gonna bombard them. You know, you gonna go at 0300, you at 06, and you at 09, and we're gonna hit them all day. You know, so that's what's getting ready to happen now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Verse 16, it says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their king nor princes, and their course of their action shall stand in their power."
Right, and I got the definition of that word sedition, and it says to conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority or a state, of the authority of a state or monarch. So this is what, and I was looking for a video because it was a brother that uploaded a video. The Edomites, it was an Edomite, and the rest of the Edom. Matter of fact, I know where it's at. No, I don't find it, but it was the Edomites. They rebelling. They were basically speaking out against, basically Trump, the government. You know, they were speaking out. He was trying to get them to rise up, and it was very funny that the Edomites was actually doing that. You know, yeah, it was the brother Atazawan from GMS Mississippi County. He had uploaded the video. It was an Edomite complaining about the condition of the country. It was on, I think, either TikTok or I think that might be TikTok. So I can't pull up the original video, but he entitled it "He is feeling it." So they and like I said, the Edomite that was standing up on top of the post with his mic, you know, you got the rest of the Edomites around them, and he basically rising up against the government or trying to incite people to rise up because and not to accept how things are going. You know, they see their country literally slipping away from them, and they don't like them. So this is what I'm gonna read the definition again. It says to conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or a monarch. And can you read that verse again?
All right, verse 16, it said, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their king nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power.
Right, so and this is what it's turning to. These people are finna take matters, and I say people, I mean people of Babylon the Great, but especially these Edomites, they finna take matters into their own hands. You know, not regarding what any of the government officials say. They really lost the respect for them. And now they finna just try to live and survive by any means necessary. So a lot of these Edomite militia groups, they really getting themselves, they already been getting themselves together, but now they really finna lock down everything, whatever it is that they got going on to set up for what's to come. They really finna lock it down. They wouldn't put militias in movies for no reason, you know, like certain apocalyptic movies or movies where a country or a society has fallen and broken down and you got different groups and different sects. They wouldn't show that for no reason. They already know this is what people gonna do in the event that society collapse.
Yeah, y'all about Shema Shah have them telling on their own self.
Right, and also too, well, until we read the next verse, it says, man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So, you know, like you're saying, the militias, meaning that the governmental system of standards are about to fall. Because if you desire, that's like me wanting to go into the next city next to me, but I can't because I got to go through all these militia groups that's blockading these cities.
It's gonna be martial law
and keeping people
Right.
from going into those areas, you know, because don't think people are not gonna band together and have, you know, certain you know, rural neighborhoods, cities, and everything blockade out. Think about the movie The Road, how, you know, how they had to go around, you know, certain cities. And like we were talking about the last week, you know, brother mentioned, you know, taking railroad tracks to go
Right.
to a city, you know, because anything through the main thoroughfare is gonna be blocked off pretty much.
All right. That's how a lot of people travel back in them days through the railroad track.
Right.
and there's gonna be martial law going on.
Yeah.
You know, they gonna have curfew set up and have checkpoints set up to where you ain't just gonna be able to travel abroad. And then they already done gave people the idea of the MOTB, you know, being able to pay for things, but now you're gonna have to actually use that they gonna have stuff set up to where you can't just go about freely as you want to. That's what all these FFs is about, you know. You know what FFs stand for, false and fill in the blank. You know, they gonna continually set these up so that they can move in to set up all these checkpoints.
They're
You know,
having in some big areas, but they can't cover the whole United States.
no, well, I'm saying that's what it's going into. Where it say, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. You ain't gonna just be able to move about freely as you so desire.
Yeah, they're having in some places, but they can't cover everywhere. There's no way they don't have the manpower to do it.
That's how Issachar travels by the railroad track.
Right.
And who else do? The Haitians, they did it back here about a year, probably about 3 years ago when all them Haitians trying to come over this way, they
Right.
turned them back.
Yeah, they made it illegal to walk on the railroad tracks now.
Yeah.
That's Levi.
A lot of people
When
were
they
walking.
Levi,
A lot of people were walking along the railroad tracks and traveling, but they done made it illegal now. You can't even be on their right of way. You go to jail. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not not be able, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and man shall be afraid.
Right, because of the pride of of the people over here in Babylon the Great, not even just the government officials, the people over here too. They are going to, because the Lord said, "Give unto her double." You know, I think this is it's in Jeremiah. I think Jeremiah 50. Reward her double, and she has and I think it's also in Revelations 18. Do unto her as she has done it, you know, to the other nations. Roughly paraphrasing, and I could be quoting them backwards. You know, they could be one for the other, but the Lord has said, "Give Babylon the Great double for all that she has done, so much as she has delivered deliciously, so much more to torment." I know that's in Revelations. You know, I believe it's Revelations 18. So this is what the Lord is doing, like it said, because of their pride. And what does the scripture say about pride? Pride coming before a fall. It coming before destruction.
Right.
You know, and this is what America has come into, and we seeing literally the beginning of the sorrows for it. You know, because it ain't gonna do nothing but escalate and get worse and worse. You think gas is the only thing that's gonna increase? Violence is gonna increase. You know, poverty is gonna increase. People ain't gonna be able to afford to live. People ain't gonna be able to afford to work because they can't live, they can't eat. You know, they ain't gonna be able to eat. All these things are increasing, you know, and it's gonna continually increase. This is what war brings.
Yeah, and bread will cost more than a day's wage.
Right.
Verse 19, it said, man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation.
See, there it is. Because of lack of bread and great tribulation, they're gonna lose all love amongst each other, like in this lineup right where Yahweh said in Matthew 24:12. Yeah. Because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
Yeah.
You can say something?
Yeah, you know, you have a lot of brothers. I love your brother. But they're gonna be the same brother, you know, ride in on you when that destruction comes with his sword, with a pistol in his hand, to kill you, to get all the needed what you have in your house, or ravage your woman.
Right, and it could be family members turning on each other.
Right.
You know, close family, extended family. It could be neighbors. It could be strangers. I ain't gonna say if, or I ain't gonna say it can be. It will be. Yeah. You're gonna have different cases with different situations, but this is how it's gonna be. People are going to turn on each other, and because iniquity, like I said, because wickedness is going to abound, it's gonna continue to increase more and more. The love of many shall wax colder and colder. So people just gonna be killing people just because they can't survive. You know, because of how hard it is to survive. Or not even just killing, like you said, they gonna be raping, you know, they gonna be stealing, they gonna be doing all types of things, cannibalism, all these things. They didn't show these things in movies just for your entertainment. They showed you what they plan on doing and what's gonna come to this place. And they showed a lot of people, which they didn't realize it, they showed them your part in it. You know, because like I said, a lot of people, they don't think of themselves as the extra. When you watch a movie, you always try to associate yourself with one of the main casts, you know, or one of the main characters. You don't never associate yourself with the person that fell off the cliff, you know, or the person that got gunned down, or the person that starved, the person that got ate, the one that didn't get away. But that's gonna be the reality for a lot of people, and that's what that verse going into, because of lack of bread. Can you read it again, Brother?
Says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods.
Right, stop right there. Like I said, it shall destroy their houses, spoil their houses and destroy their goods. So you got somebody that's doing the spoiling and doing the destroying, and then you got somebody that's being spoiled and being destroyed. And like I said, a lot of people, they don't associate themselves with the person that's not in the favor, or the one that don't have the upper hand. But the Lord said it's gonna be people that's in that situation. it's gonna be a lot of people in that situation where they don't have the upper hand. It's gonna be men, women, and children. You know, we might get that Ezekiel, I think it's Ezekiel chapter 4, or it's in Ezekiel where the Lord going to spare not, you know, men, he said get the women and the children, you know, go destroy them, but don't touch those that got the
Mark.
you're right, the mark, which it ain't talking about Revelation 13 and 16 mark. It's going into, it ain't talking about that mark. It's the mark of exemption from judgment. You know, we are gonna get it. You got it, brother.
All right. It says, let me just finish that out. And spoil their goods because of their lack of bread and for great tribulation. Behold, says Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, I will call together all kings of the earth to reverence me.
Hold on, before you get that, it's in Ezekiel. Because then that's gonna go into the top. It's Ezekiel. Chapter 6. It's Ezekiel 9. Get Ezekiel 9 and start at 4.
All right, this is Ezekiel 9, verse 4. It says, and the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst of Jerusalem, in the midst thereof, Salaki.
Right, so this is what the Lord has done via the holy angels, you know, setting the mark of exemption, and it's going to the elect, you know. The elect are the ones who gonna have the mark of exemption. That's why the scriptures go into how important a man of the Lord is gonna be. Isaiah 13 and 12, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Isaiah 33 and 2, where it says, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest. You know, this going into the men of the Lord that's being exempt from judgment, you know. And it's going to be showcasing to the whole earth, because the Lord said, 2 Ezra 16, he said, then it shall be known who am I chosen. The Lord is going to let the whole earth know who he been dealing with the whole time before he bring all this judgment. But really, he going to let them know because they're going to be protected in the judgment. That's why the men of the Lord are going to be the most valuable thing in the time of Jacob's, when Jacob's trouble increased, because we already in Jacob's trouble.
That's
You
right.
know? So, like it said, set a mark on the men that sigh and cry for the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. These are the men of the Lord that sigh and that's crying for everything that's going on. And that's why Isaiah 4, you got scriptures like Isaiah 4:1, them women gonna want to cleave unto the men of the Lord because the Lord is with them. He protecting them. And even that protection is gonna be in many shapes, you know, many forms. Whether it be the Lord, Isaiah 33 and 6, you know, the Lord got them, those, all the, you know, men of the Lord, they're going to be stable. So Isaiah 33 and 6 is going to apply to all the men of the Lord. But you got men that's going to have spiritual powers, you know, men that's going to be in good situations and good cases where the Lord just provide and doing miracles. Like, everybody going to know that the Lord is with those men. But they are the ones that sighing and crying.
You want me to keep going? You want to go back?
Yeah, keep going.
Verse 5, it says, and to the others he said in my hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity.
Right, and that's coming too. That's judge. That's our representation of judge. This actually happened, but this gonna happen again. Like he said, go through the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, because he started off through the midst of Jerusalem, set a mark on them that sigh and cry, and then for the rest of them, he said, go through and smite. Go through and destroy them, kill them in any type of way. Go through and bring judgment on them.
All right, I'm going to read the next one in the AMP. It says, utterly slay old men, young men, maidens, little children, and women, but do not touch or go near anyone whom is marked. Begin at my sanctuary. So they began with the old men who were in front of the temple who did not have the Lord's mark on their forehead.
Right, so it started with the leaders all the way down. It trickles on down. Like I said, the old men, young men, old women, young women, and the Lord said even children. He don't give a damn, because they didn't give a damn about him. 2 Ezra chapter 9, where they had yet liberty, they loathed the law. So when the time of judgment comes, the Lord ain't trying to hear nothing. He ain't trying to hear none of that.
Right.
Yahweh Shai gonna be like, get away from me, I never knew you, ye that work iniquity.
Right.
You're gonna be trying to call on the Lord in whatever name you want to call on. It's gonna even be Israelites calling on the right name, but they ain't been doing what the Lord commanded.
Right.
And he ain't gonna move for you.
Right.
And like he said, don't touch none that got the mark. You got it, bro.
Yeah, a lot of people think, well, the kids is in. No, they not. Ain't there one of them in, because they been here before, many times before, and did corrupt things. That's why he gonna destroy them, because he already, Yahweh Shem already know who that spirit is.
Right.
So they been here many times before, tearing up the whole world. So yes, he gonna destroy them. He gonna get rid of them.
And then too, you got kids now that ain't no older than 10. They already they got I seen a video, Elder Thompson one, he did a video on this too. I think it was him. They had like little Nerf guns pointed at the camera, like they do on rap videos or just in general when they take, the YNs, they take pictures, point the guns at the camera, and then they had a blunt and it wasn't lit up, but they had a blunt in their mouth, talking about passing it around. They kept putting it in their mouth. I think they were brothers.
Right.
But the Lord ain't finna allow that to grow up and be amongst the kingdom.
Right.
Be in the kingdom.
Right.
Now they gonna get destroyed right along with the rest of them.
Right.
And then they gonna come back in their right mind because they already tainted. They already corrupted.
They're already corrupt.
And ain't no repentance in sight. Because who gonna teach them?
Exactly.
The same person that allowed them to get a hold into their behavior.
Right.
That's the person that's gonna teach them.
That's right. Yeah. You think you're gonna go to the kingdom of heaven being corrupted? And first thing come out here, cheering in women. Why they always have to say women? And knowing they the big corruption on face of the earth.
And then too, like y'all saying, the women are the ones that's corrupting a lot of them. They're sitting back laughing, feminine, saying that's cute, cute. But then they go into McDonald's eating some abominable stuff and have an accident and they get killed. And then, the Most High judged them, quickly. And didn't allow them to grow up. So we don't wish that on, wish that they can change, because we know that a lot of people are going to change during that last hour. A lot of the Most High has a lot that he's got in a 2/3 mindset, and at the end he's gonna wake up. But you want to start teaching your kids the right way from now. Even if you're not going to be woken up. You want to have, but I take that back. 2/3 are going to be the 2/3 regardless. They're not going to wake up. But those that are listening and that are watching and that are straggling that line, this is the time for you to wake up, because the Most High only gives so many chances, and but if it's for you, you're gonna get it regardless. But as His word said, the whole world, meaning the world plurally as all the people, and the world as the children of Israel, the nation of Israel, are going to hear this word. And those that are going to wake up, like Yahweh said, my sheep hear my voice. So those that are going to wake up will wake up, and those that are going to stay asleep will stay asleep.
Stay asleep. And, all people, the hope for elect. I don't have no problem with the hope for elect, but the 2/3, you got to be purged down. You got to go back and be, re-examined, re-cleaned. Because, you can't go in the kingdom of heaven like you are. A lot of us very corrupt with the, with Esau mentality.
All right, back in 2 Ezra 15, It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for the great tribulation.
Right, and see, that's how the Lord going to allow a lot of Israelites to be judged, you know. Like I said, slay utterly. A lot of Israelites are going to be taken out from that, you know, or a lot of people in general, but a lot of Israelites going to be taken out in that fashion, you know. There's going to be a lot of judgment going out in various ways, you know.
It says, behold, says Yahweh Shem Yahushua, I will call together all kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, the west, the east, rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and the Lebanus, to turn themselves one against another, and repay the things that they have done to them.
Right, so he said from the east, the west, because like your brother said, the rising of the sun is the west, the east, to the west, you know, from the south, basically the whole four corners of the earth, because you only got 4 directions. That's why on the compass, of course you got your sub directions, but it's north, south, east, and west. So the Lord said from all 4 directions, though, that's where he's going to gather all these nations from, and that's what we seeing happen. They come into can you get Joel chapter 3? The Lord is gathering them up into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is Yahweh Shaphat, which means the Lord's judgment. You know, this is where it's all starting. It's gonna go down. You know, and it's gonna continually escalate.
All right, this is Joel 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel,
Right.
whom they shall scattered among the nations and imparted my land.
Right. So the Lord said he gathering all these nations down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh Shaphat, which is the Lord's justice. This is what we're seeing right now. You know, and the Lord is going to bring down great destruction, great judgment. Like I said, it's been a lot of death going on with this war. That's how we know it's escalating. That's how we know it's getting to the next level. A lot of people have died, and not even just soldiers. That's the thing about it.
Right.
There's a lot of civilians that have been killed. You know,
Right.
like I said, I'm gonna keep mentioning that elementary school that got bombed. Over 100, which I think last week or Wednesday we said 170, but I know I read somewhere it said like 185 people died from that, mainly little girls, little children. You know, they ain't finna just let that slide.
Nah. They ain't finna let this slide, brother.
And then Trump tried to negate the blame. He tried to say it wasn't us. It was them. He tried to blame Iran, saying they did that. Then I think they tried to say that they had false information as to where the ammo depot or whatever they were trying to blow up was. You know, but they came out. They reviewed the bomb. They were like that ain't nothing else but an American bomb.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah. How you gonna say they got false narratives?
I said somebody must call the police.
Yeah, how they gonna say they got false narrative in their country? Then Trump ain't over there. Trump in the United States. So you can't tell them folks how they can have false narrative over in their own land. And just like the brother bringing out, you know, y'all by Shem outside putting all brothers in every country mouth. How many countries is here? 18 nations? No, 17 nations. Outside all nations.
Yeah, as far as nation-wise.
Yeah, and he putting all brothers in their mouth and bringing them right there to the chessboard will be what? Jehoshaphat?
Valley of Jehoshaphat.
The Valley of Jehoshaphat. So that all nations to come right there, presume, right there at that point.
Right.
And that means the browser is just like when you're riding a horse, you put the browser in his mouth and you control wherever they need to go to. That's what he bringing down to all the nations, putting the brown in their mouth. He
Right.
guiding them there. They don't even know he guiding them there. And they going right there for sake for the children of Israel.
Right, right.
And one thing you have to remember is the war is that woman in travail.
Yeah.
Because as it prolongs, as it go further and further on, it gets more and more impact to lead up to the final destruction. So as we watch it, we'll have a little blip here. They were bombing, then they stopped. And then now they talking about sending ground troops. They're shoot a few bombs here and there. But when they start, now they destroying ships. That made me think about the description in Revelation where it was saying ships would be destroyed. So it's that birth pain, and as we watch it, that's what we need to focus on. Because as it get really intense, we know that a lot of things are going to be happening worldwide all over, and it may get to the point where it's too intense that we can't keep focus of it, because you're trying to watch your area now where you are because of all the chaotic things that are going on. But remember, Yahweh Shah said that it's going to make the mightiest of men like a woman in travail.
Right.
So and your war guys, they supposed to be your elite men, your Green Berets, your Marines, your elite fighting force. They supposed to be your mightiest of men, but they're gonna be like a woman in travail.
Right. I mean, they're gone. All the processed food, the chemical food that they feed us over in America, they don't have that type of man no more. Cause really, most men is effeminate over here, cause they eating.
Yeah, the food loaded
Yeah.
with estrogen, giving the man
Yeah.
more estrogen and the women more
Yeah.
testosterone.
Yeah.
Well, it's a factor into it.
Right.
And then too, it's gonna be a draft.
Gonna be a draft.
You know, they steadily amping up more and more for it. It's going to be a draft. And not only that, you got people having dreams, not just brothers, but even people outside the truth. Having dreams about being the only man in the city, surrounded, and it ain't nothing but women. I think it was somebody. Had re-uploaded it, but somebody had did a video. Well, it was like a random person did a video about a dream they had years ago. I don't know when, that they was the only person in the city. Well, only man in the city. They was in a car or a van or something, and he was holding a baby. And the person that was driving was a woman that he know, but she was in a military uniform. She was driving, holding the baby. And he said she ain't say nothing. She just was stern, but she was driving. And he said he wasn't told that he was the only man or nothing. He said that God, the way he said God told him telepathically, somehow, he just knew he was the only man in the city. Because he was saying it was going to be a draft. Even he was saying it. And then he said, I guess his cousin or somebody had a dream recently, which made him remember that him and his cousin had to fight off some other guys. And when they fought them off and they won, they had went to one of their auntie's house and seen I think they had seen all flipping Mustangs. They went to their auntie house and they seen nothing but women, female, family members. There was no male family members. It was just women, family members. So he was basically saying that it reminded him of that dream that he was the only man in that city. And it wasn't more so on the tip of Isaiah 4:1, which, that's what it sounded like too. But also that how it was a draft. He said he don't know how he was able to elude going to war or being drafted to go to war, but he just knew that the other men had got drafted to go to war. But he didn't go. they're going to do another draft. They wouldn't have people automatically being signed up for selective service. And then it wasn't too long ago they were saying the age range was what, 18 to 26 or something like that. But they gonna do whatever it takes to get as many people as they can to go to war, to fight for them. And that was something else that them Edomites was complaining about, that their men or their sons, getting shipped off to go to war, to die for a war that they had nothing to do with.
All right. And, a lot the elite family that got sons as, Edom do, either as Jake do, they ain't gonna send their sons. They're not gonna send their loved ones. But they're gonna make sure all these single parents, Eve, got them little YN, they're gonna send them. And a lot of them single parent mamas out there, they ain't gonna want that killer where he killing everybody around here in the city. She ain't gonna want him to go to war. But she ain't got no problem. Let him ride up and down the street, breaking your car, or breaking your house, or robbing somebody at gunpoint around here in the city. But she ain't gonna want that little wasted thing to go to war.
Right, and then not only just them, but like I said, a lot of Edomites, because what you just said about how the government officials, they ain't gonna send their son. Edomite said that in the comment section. I can't remember what video I was watching, but it was something on Facebook where I was able to look at the comments.
Yeah.
And they said they ain't gonna send. How about they send Barron Trump to war? They said they ain't gonna do that.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna send them off.
No.
I believe it was of that video, but I can't remember exactly what I was watching. But they ain't, like you said, they ain't gonna send their sons off to go to war. Go be the commander of the war. Go be a lieutenant. They ain't gonna do that. They, like you said, they gonna send all these people that they don't care about.
Yeah, these people don't care about.
And like I said, it's gonna be a lot of Edomites, that's gonna be the Lord's judgment to send them off.
Make sure they go off.
Yeah.
The Lord said, He said, I'm gonna send your sons and your nephews.
Right, and then too, the scriptures say the women, they gonna mourn not having, can you get that real quick?
Second Ezra.
Yeah, I think that's 16. It's probably gonna be in the 30 or latter 20s. It say the women shall mourn. So that gotta play out. Why would the women mourn not having no husbands and no bridegrooms if the men are still here?
All right, this is 2nd Ezra 16:33. It says, the virgin I'm gonna read 32. I'm gonna read 31. It says, even so in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that searches their houses with the sword, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no men shall travel through them. They are through. The young virgins shall mourn, having no bridegroom. The women shall mourn, having no husband. The daughters shall mourn, having no helpers.
Next, keep going.
In the war shall their bridegroom be destroyed, and their husband shall perish of famine.
Right, now I'm gonna read that in the the GNT. This is 2nd Ezra 16 verses 33 and 34. It says, young women will be in mourning because there is no one to marry them. Wives will be in mourning because they have lost their husbands. Daughters will be in mourning because there is no one to help them. All the young men will be killed in the war, and all the married men will die in the famine. So they letting you know, the scriptures let you know what's gonna be going on. These men, they go to war and be killed off. We see this in the other countries going on too, like the brother Yashima always bring out. The elder brother Yashima, it's a shortage of men in Ukraine. A lot of those men been killed off in the war. And now it's a lot of women that don't have no man. And and not that they can't get one, They can't find one
I can't find
because
one.
it's a shortage of them, and that's
Yeah.
that's coming to Babylon. That's a plague.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
read that just to back your point. It said, "Here now." Okay, it says, "In the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish in famine. Hear now these things, and understand them, ye servants of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Behold, the word of the Lord, receive it. Believe not the gods of whom the Lord spake." So these other false doctrines around here don't believe that. Or these other so-called prosperity preachers, well, the Lord is going to fix everything and we're going to be all right, you know.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to bring this out. I read an article the other day where it was talking about the book Left Behind was a lie, and they went into detail explaining, you know, how it was a lie, because it said everybody would be raptured before the tribulation comes. But we just read that everybody's gonna go through the tribulation, and it was saying in there that everybody's gonna go through the tribulation, and then the elect will be saved. And this was on Newsbreak. So the truth, the Most High is letting the truth out, and it was an Edomite that wrote it. So the truth is coming out.
And a lot of they people think they actually gonna be raptured up. That's how they leak Edom telling their own folk that they gonna be raptured up. Really, they not gonna be raptured up.
Right, because you had a lot of them. You had a lot of them people. They was Edomite suit back in September when they thought that the rapture was coming. It wasn't just Edomites, but you had a lot of people.
Jacob.
Yeah, you had them thinking that a rapture was coming, so they done sold their house. Some sold their personal items and belongings, quit their job, said their goodbyes to certain people, and then they woke up the next day.
Yeah. There's some of them people killed themselves. They thought
that was back in 2012, I believe. Or, one of them 2010 or one of them years
some of them
they were
killed
talking
themselves
about
for real.
Maybe it was 1990. No, that was the computer, Y2K. 2012 or something like that.
Yeah.
They thought it was gonna be a rapture, and a lot of them killed themselves after they sold everything off and had nothing.
Right, but the Lord said, Wisdom of Solomon 5:1. The Lord said that the people gonna be amazed at the strangers of the South. Well, we'll read down a little bit. They're gonna be amazed at the strangers of the salvation of the elect. So while people thinking Wisdom of Solomon, while people thinking that they gonna be raptured away or something miraculous gonna happen to them, they gonna actually see the elect being beamed up into the chariots of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, which again, that ain't no rapture. That's salvation. That's how the Lord is saving his elect via the chariots.
Right. All right, this is Wisdom of Solomon 5 and verse 1. It said, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the faces of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labor." And that's people riding by and seeing us out here and seeing how we labor and saying we're miserable, we crazy, we gave up all these holidays and all of this and eating certain foods and all of that. They think we're miserable people in a cult.
And primarily this gonna be for Esau. Esau gonna Edomites, they gonna do that. You know, they gonna be amazed at the strangers of our salvation. You know, because they the ones that held everything that the Israelites have done in their kingdom, really in general, you know, since we've been a nation, since we've been on this earth, because they whitewashed everything too. But if we just talk about what we did in this kingdom, all our efforts that we did into making this kingdom great, they took it all for themselves like they did. You know, made no account of none of our labors, and then even more so, like the brother was going into, made no account of the labors of the elect. You know, that's being beamed up into the chariots.
Right.
It says, when they see it, they shall be troubled with tremble fear.
Terrible.
Yeah, terrible fear, Salaki. And shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for.
Because who can imagine the so-called Black, Hispanic, Latino, and Native American man, any of the Israelites, you know, and the confusion of faces too, being beamed up into what the world knows as UFOs, what they was taught were aliens. They being beamed up into the chariots for salvation, simultaneously at the same time that they finna be destroyed by thermonuclear. Who would have thought of something like that? Like that, when people think about the world ending, they don't ever think about what exactly is gonna take place or what goes down, like how it go down play by play. But the Lord tells us how it's gonna go down.
Right.
And when they live it out, and you know, when they see it happening, no one ever said, well, you know, outside of the elect, of course, outside of the prophets, no one ever said, well, the elect or God shows the people gonna be beamed up into what the world knows as so-called UFOs. And the rest of the world is gonna be, or at least over here in Babylon the Great, gonna be getting hit with thermonuclear missiles. That's why it's gonna be the strangeness of his salvation.
Right.
You know, most people would think, when they think about thermonuclear missiles, they think about escaping it by going into underground bunkers.
Right,
You know,
right.
that's the main thing people think about. We got to go into a bunker or get underground and survive like that. Ain't nobody thinking about going into a so-called UFO,
Right.
but the elect.
Yeah, right. And you know, even Edom, they gonna go deep. They're gonna go deep. What's their main force? What they call in America, and they Navy SEAL, they're supposed to be the most intelligent force
Tactical,
Uh-huh.
the Navy SEALs.
Yeah, and we're gonna, and Yahweh Shema Shai gonna have his at tactical to go deep up on the underground bunkers to pull y'all up out of there.
Right, he gonna use his men, the elect men.
Yeah. His seed. Right. The anointed one will be Yahweh Shema Shai gonna bring his men, the hopeful elect brother, to go get y'all.
All right, verse 3, it says, and they repented and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and proverb and a reproach. We fools accounted his life for madness and his end to be without honor.
Right, they didn't regard the lifestyle we live in and how we walking, and us considering ourselves as Israelites, the men and the chosen men of Yahweh, the chosen people. As the chosen people of Yahweh Shema Shai, they didn't consider that what we was doing was all preparing for the next kingdom. Because like I think you said it Wednesday, it's one kingdom being transitioned out and another kingdom transitioning in at the simultaneously. They can't see it. Well, Salaki, they can see it. You know, they just don't know how it's gonna actually play out.
Right.
You know, when I say they can't see it, they can see their kingdom falling.
Yeah, I think like you said, they see it, but they gonna fight for their kingdom as well that they should. But it ain't gonna take long. They're like taking a pacifier from a baby.
How is he numbered among the children of Yahweh Shema Shai, and his lot is among the saints? Therefore have we erred from the way of the truth and the light of righteousness?
How we err.
When they said have. Therefore have we erred from the way of the truth and the light of righteousness had not shined unto us, and the sun of righteousness rose not upon us.
Right. So this gonna be the mentality of the people. When they see the elect being beamed up, you know, they gonna realize that the men of the Lord have been telling the truth this whole time, which they gonna know it prior to, but especially more so in that time. Unless more, you can stop right there.
I'm gonna read one more. It says, we were ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. Yeah, we have gone through deserts that where there lay no way. But as for the way of the Lord, we have not known it.
Right. So everything they doing is setting them up for their fall. Everything they had been doing was setting them up for their fall the entire time. And they realizing it now. You know how their kingdom and their country had literally been taken right away from them. You know, and it didn't take long. You know, 100 years ago they still had the upper hand. They had a major upper hand actually because the truth wasn't fruitful. You know, 100 years ago the truth wasn't fruitful yet. You know, so they still had the upper hand. We still was subjected hard under them. You know, and they had society running exactly how they wanted it. You know, when Trump was talking about make America great again, that's part of it. You know, having it back to how it used to be, where we was at the very bottom, and poverty was all we knew. You know, I think it's 2026. So 100 years ago, if you went 105, or well, I'd just say 110 years ago, Black Wall Street didn't even happen yet. Right. You know, so we didn't even have Jake just really coming up like that. And they had already took the land from the Northern Kingdom. You know, they already pushed the so-called I ain't gonna say so-called.
You know, I would go a little further than that. It was some because Black Wall Street just didn't happen overnight. It took time for them to build that up.
I know. I'm not saying. I'm saying like it wasn't just no prominent places where Jake like it is now, where you just see Jake residing and they just thriving. It ain't because a lot of Israelites are living better than Esau, and you did have that, but it wasn't like it is now. Yeah. You know, it's a complete change than it was 100 years ago.
Right.
And that's why I said
the whole United States, but we had some hot spots like Rosewood, Black Wall Street, and some other areas around the country.
That's why I said at least 110 years ago, you didn't. It wasn't like it was now. Esau had the major upper hand over against our people, and like I said, the Northern Kingdom, he had them subjugated. He had Issachar pushed out into in Mexico into his land. You know, was steady taking land and taking resources. You know, trying to take away from Gad. You know, so-called Native Americans, you know, because he had already stolen the land, so now he was just steadily taking more and more from them. How you doing, bro? You know, and like I said, he had our people, you know, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, so-called black, well, the so-called blacks. He had us right where he wanted us, you know. Well, even though we were, you know, free from the hardcore slavery, we still didn't have it easy. You know, it still was a struggle, and poverty was what the majority of our people knew. You know, poverty just didn't. We knew how to thrive in poverty. That was a part of Yahweh Shem Abishai still being with our people, not letting us be completely consumed and destroyed. You know, but nevertheless, now 100 years fast forward to, because 100 years ago, they weren't thinking that it'll ever be a time like this. Their kingdom literally been taken away from them. And simultaneously, you see us out here prophesizing their downfall.
I'm gonna read one more. It says, verse 8, it says, "What have pride profited us? Or what good have riches without vaunting brought us?" It says, verse 8 says, "What have pride profited us? Or what good have riches without vaunting brought us?" So they know that they were prideful, you know, and they know that they're a prideful nation. And they see that in the end that their pride brought on their destruction. Do you want me to keep going or want me to go back?
Is it more? You can probably read a little more. Yeah, you can read it. It's still going. It's going.
Verse 9, "All those things are passed away like a shadow, and a post that hastes by.
Right, and that's how it is with their country now. Everything that they once had, and let that pass. Everything they once had possession over, you know, they had the opportunity to. They had the best opportunity for jobs. You know, they had the best living conditions. They had benefits catered to them. You know, our people had to fight for certain things. You know, they had everything was catered unto them. The whole white privilege, the society was catered to them. You know, they was on the TV shows. They was, you know, making the movies, doing the entertainment. You know, at one point this was mainly Esau doing it. And then as time went on, Jake started dominating, you know. And Southern Kingdom primarily started to dominate a lot of it.
Right.
But that all the opportunities they had really in America where they was able to be above the Israelites, all of that is gone. And everything that came with it is gone. They get treated just like the Israelites, or worse.
Right.
And as a ship that passed over the waves of the water, which when it is gone by, the trace thereof cannot be found, neither the path of the keel in the waves. Or as when a bird hath flown through the air, there is no token of her way to be found, but the light air being beating with the stroke of her wings, and parted with the violent noise and motion of them, is passed through, and therein afterwards no sign where she went to be found.
Right. So he's just going into how fast it went away from him. Cause like I said, that's why I used 100 years ago. Just look at look at how many different eras that came on the earth in just 100 years, and how fast they've lost their kingdom. You know, even if you go, like I said, if you go from a worldly sense, they dominated all of that. They was on a TV show. They got the best food. They got the best neighborhoods, the benefits. You know, the police, you know, the emergency systems favored them, and they terrorized our people, oppressed our people. Now they getting the same treatment. Right. You know, a lot of their people wasn't bugging out like they are now. You know, it wasn't. And if they had homeless, I ain't gonna say if they did have homeless Edomite or poor Edomites during that time, but they had programs to help them where Jake just had to deal. You know, all of that is switched now. Right. You know, you got, well, I ain't gonna say it's switched, but now they've been brought down to our level, and Jake has had more opportunities. You know, we couldn't go no further low. All we can do is just come up.
That's it.
So you look at it even from a corner sense, now Jake dominating the entertainment. You know, when they watch football, mainly they watching Jake. When they watch basketball, Edomites, mainly they watching Jake.
Right.
You know, when they watch movies, now you know, of course, they like a lot of Edomite movies, or where Edomite stars, but really, if you know, through the spirit, a lot of the people that they think Edomites be Jake.
It be Jake.
You know, it really be Jake, and they just don't know it. You know, it'll all come out at you know, at its proper time. But a lot of the entertainment they watching, they be watching Jake. Oh, music. You know, now you got a lot of Edomite entertainers. You know, Edomite people that sing or whatever the case may be. But then again, a lot of them be Jake. You know, and then of course they listen to Israelite music anyway. You got a lot of Edomite young men that like rap, and that's something that Jake dominated. You know, not pushing the music or that vibration or nothing, but just making the point. Jake dominated all the areas in Esau's kingdom where Esau was once allowed to do it, and Jake didn't have the privilege. So a lot of things have changed in just 100 years, and we just use 100 years.
You know, I heard Edomite say, you know, when they get tired of something and get ready to be done with it, they pass it over to Jake. You know, and it made me think, because when we were growing up, right, this city was white.
Yeah,
It was
90% white.
90% white, and they
Yeah.
ran everything,
Yeah.
from the mayor to the council to everything. And when they when they changed it over, we got our first black mayor.
Yeah.
You know, things never went up to the positive.
Nah.
It just constantly went down.
Went down.
You know, and you think about how they do. You know, you look at entertainment. They pretty much have passed it over to Jake. You know, the music, because when we were coming up, you had meaningful songs.
Yeah.
But now the songs are. I mean, you have to go. We have to go back to old school.
Yeah.
You know, to listen to meaningful songs.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So it really has gone down. You can't even understand the music nowadays. You know. So I mean that was a true statement that I believe that, you know, Edomite had said, you know, because you know, when they tired of something, they pass it to Jake, and it just continually to dwindle. When they can't handle it no more, they turn it over to Jake.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah, and then too, like you said, they go, especially for like when they have certain positions, you know, in place, and they might just pass, you know, and it be the Lord doing it. You know, they'll have a certain position, they'll give it over to Jake, you know. And then Esau, he got cunning with that, you know, the entertainment, like you said, because at one point it was meaningful songs, you know, movies were different, TV shows were different in the past, you know, but now Esau got it set up where he got Israelites just pushing them to wickedness. You got a lot of sellouts of our people. You know, they pushing nothing but Esau's agenda, where you see it is now. And that was a good point you made. You know, even going back to the high school I went, but at one point the high school I went to, it was predominantly Edomites. You know, it was nothing but Edomites. They still got pictures. Well, I don't know now, but I know when I was going there, they still had pictures of all the Edomites that once attended there, and I think they had like they top 10 Edomites that was there. You know, like the top 10
years ago.
Yeah, they still got they still had their pictures. I'm pretty sure they still got them up now. Yeah. You know, they even had a swimming pool there, and the whole where the swimming pool was is still there on the grounds of the high school.
Yeah.
You know, it's of course they covered it up, and it's nothing but grass now. Well, at that point it was. I don't know what it is now, but now, well, when I was going there, and now it's predominantly Jake. Like you said, this whole city was Esau. You know, I wasn't even alive at the time where this one strip was just booming with business. Right. But now I look at it now, it's a dead zone almost. I mean, it still got business going on, but it ain't like nowhere near it used to be.
Right. You know, they just like the Dedica food, you know, where they throw Jake the slop. Jake made a Dedica out of it. Now, they eat everything that would Jake eat. Right. Abomination food. Even, you know, where they throwing...
It's abominable to them.
Yeah.
It's abominable to us.
To us.
The struggle meals.
Yeah.
That's what they eat.
Yeah,
right.
They eating that now. You know, because Jake made a Dedica out of it, made it so tasteful. When they gonna give him the pig lip, pig feet, all the, you know, pork chop. Jake took it, and okay, what they call that stuff? They always do it during the winter time. The guts, the hog gut, chili.
Oh, chilies.
Yeah, Jake made a, you know, Dedica out of that. And then now they eat more than the Jake do.
Right.
Even though it's bomber to us, but Jake took some and made a fantastic dinner out of it, even though it was wrong. But look,
that's all he had to eat.
That's all he had to eat. They gave us the gut, the feet were his stepping shit and everything else.
And then too, like you said, even like with the struggle meals, you know. Well, how we'll cook and eat. You know, if you ain't have it, you know, they get you just find a struggle meal. Now you got a lot of Edomites. They eat like that normally for lunch. You know, that's their lunch.
It made me think about this Instagram.
Before you said, I remember. I won't forget this too. It was at my last job. It was this Edomite. His granddaddy owned a cotton.
Cotton gin?
Yeah, a cotton gin. So he had he had certain slaves out there working, but and he tried to come up and say because it was one Jake, he would open up a can of Vienna sausages and he would eat it on our lunch break, and he had said some. Oh, he had said, I remember when I was broke, and we looked at him. I know I looked at him. I wanted to. He didn't say it to me, but I wanted to say something.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to snap out, but you know what I'm saying, I didn't, because for one, he didn't say it to me, then two, I ain't want to get out of character. But if he said it to me, I would have got out of pocket.
Right.
But we looked at him, they just started laughing. But I ain't laugh, because I
He was a Jake that said that?
Nah, he was an Edomite.
He was broke.
Yeah, he said he remember when he was broke, his granddad had a cotton gin, he got everything passed down to him. The man got land. You know, he still got the, I think he still got some ties to the cotton. I forgot exactly how he had it set up now, I can't remember.
He worked there?
Yeah, but he was in a safety position. He was getting paid probably like 6 figures. You know?
Now a lot of them grew up poor now. Dirt poor.
He ain't grow up poor though. He ain't.
Even though they family may have had a little land. I mean, doing cotton back then was a big business. You had to really bail some bales. But if he owned the gin, that means that he owned the process. The gin is just where they store it.
Yeah, where they store it.
He had to own the processing part of it. Is where they make the money.
I think that's what it was. I can't remember. It was some dealing with cotton though. But
Yeah.
he wasn't nowhere near poor. He didn't grow up nowhere near poor either.
And back then, you know, I ain't saying a lot of people couldn't get halter fish, but a lot of people back then could what do you call the things?
Salmon coconut?
Yeah. A lot of our people made a deal out of them things.
Shoot, I still eat some salmon coconut.
It's a young lady that I used to go by, shoot, breeze with, and she made some good salmon croquette, and they are good.
Yeah.
And that's a poor man dinner there.
Right. Yeah, it made me think about it when you said struggle. I was watching this guy I always watch, Cortez is his name.
Right.
And him and his girl be on there. You know, they doing it to make money.
Right.
You know, but he got a beard and he wear it out like them Amish people wear it. You know, it's not, down like this way. He wear it combed out like
Combed
Amish.
out, yeah.
And she had asked him to make a pizza.
Uh-huh.
And he was getting the pizza out. What he made was pizza. He was getting it out the oven.
Right.
And it was 4 slices of white bread,
Right.
some cheese, the American sliced cheese on it, and 4 pepperonis on each one of it. And he turned to her and she said, Cortez, what is that? He said, it ain't the gennaro. He said, it's the struggle.
The struggle.
It's the struggle.
Yeah.
And it made me think about it. It's gonna be a lot of people going through that, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of people going through the struggle, to make ends meet, to buy food, to pay bills, to just even be able to buy gas. When the gas shoot up, there's gonna be a lot of people not going to work because they can't afford to buy gas.
They can't afford to buy gas. Right.
So it's gonna be a real struggle.
Right.
And like you said, it's a ripple effect with this war. The food costs gonna go up. They steady recalling everything. Now for long the stores will be empty because they done recalled everything.
Right.
But the food is going up, the gas is gonna go up, and all the utilities are steady going up because these storms, Most High sending these storms through, destroying a lot of stuff. A lot of infrastructure. Our infrastructure is already bad anyway.
Right.
So, this summer, I wouldn't be surprised if they come with the rolling blackout, saying the storms caused the infrastructures to get worse. So now we gotta keep from putting a load on the power grid. We gotta do rolling blackouts. So there may be times that you have to be in the dark just because they need to have power on this side of the city, just so that it won't cause the whole grid system to go down.
Right. And no longer this week here, I think since Saturday around about 4 o'clock, 4:30, my lights went off then. Light stayed off Saturday evening around about 4 o'clock. Stayed off Sunday, and it was off Monday. It didn't come back on till Tuesday. Then that storm came up. Then the storm came up. Well, what it was yesterday, wasn't it?
No, that was Sunday.
No, the storm came up the other day when we was out here.
Oh yeah, Wednesday.
Lights went back out. 4 days, 4 days of lights being out.
My lights was off too.
Yeah. And it was just I was thinking about, it could be that time where lights just go off and it just off permanent. I was looking at my son, how Kai had, what I'm trying to say, he got like this because he always on the computer. I say, man, this is not the end of the world. I said, you got to learn how to adjust to something. This just don't happen. I said, once the trees just go off, it never come back on. I said, you losing your mind because the computer ain't on. A lot of people gonna go through that. You gonna learn, you ain't got this word, and you ain't built this story in your spirit about how about Shema Shot, you gonna lose.
Right.
You gonna lose your mind.
This is a good time, if you can afford it, get you a secondary mean to have lights. It's like my next door neighbor, when I got home yesterday, he was meeting me before I got out of my Jeep.
Right.
And I had ordered him some lights back, that run off the battery.
Right.
And he was like, order me another box. He said, because those lights came in handy, I need to put them other places in my house.
Right.
So
what kind of lights they are?
I'll show it to you when we get out. But it's they run off battery. You put it, they're a regular light bulb.
Yeah.
You put it in the socket like a regular light bulb.
Oh, okay.
But it has a battery in there.
Yeah.
And when you turn the light on, it charges. And so if the power go out, all you do is flip the switch and the light will come on. As if the power was still on.
Right.
And so, I ordered him a box last year sometime. And he said those work, but he needs more.
Yeah.
So, you a lot of times, if you can buy little things to think ahead,
Right.
you do it, and try to get ahead because, that might be a little saver for you for a temporary outage. But now, if it's going to be out some days, you got to do other means.
You got to do other means, right.
I'm still thinking about that Edomite that said, I remember when I was broke. He number 2 years, I think he like a year or 2 years older than me.
All right.
He might have been broke at the time. His folks might have went through
Nah,
some things.
he wasn't broke. He wasn't broke. All the stuff he showed us and he got access to.
Yeah. Because you don't have money don't mean that you broke.
He got like I said, he got money.
That's what I'm saying, because you can have money because you don't have access at that point.
Yeah.
Don't mean that you broke.
He may be tied up in his
Yeah.
in his family, in his folks' name.
Nah, trust me.
He can't get to it.
He didn't grow up like Jake grew up. What he said was that's why I got mad. Through the spirit I got, cause he always talked about like his upbringing anyway and stuff he was doing. He wasn't one of those Edomites that you could tell was kind of like they probably had a little rough. He one of those Edomites where he always got what he wanted, he always had.
He had access to when he wanted.
He probably 30 now.
Yeah.
He probably 30 now, but he was 28, 29 making six figures. You ain't just finna come up like that.
A lot of our people don't make 6 figures.
A lot of our people don't ever get to see six figures.
Yeah.
Majority of our people don't ever get to see six figures. But he young, already making money like that.
Yeah.
On top of all the things he was showing us that he had and telling us about, what his grandfather had and what his dad had.
Yeah.
I'm like, he didn't come up from no struggle.
All right.
So when he said, I remember when I was broke, Esau broke is different from Jake broke.
Jake broke, right.
And what he was saying, Jake was eating by any size. We you know, when you see Jake eating that, you automatically know what time it is.
You know what? Yeah.
And Esau see you eating that, you know, he know what time it is
He
too.
know what time
But
it is.
he was one of those Edomites that will get out of pocket with you if you that type of person. He ain't never get out of pocket with me because I don't never be soft around them. You know, I always be firm or stern with, you know, around Esau because I know who he is, and I don't want them. I want them to underestimate me, but I want them to take me seriously. They gonna respect me.
Right.
So he ain't never do me like that, but he did Jake like that, you know, or a certain Jake that allowed them.
Yeah, you play with them.
They play with him. I didn't play with him.
Yeah.
That's why they underestimate you, but they take you seriously too.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, he was one of them Edomites that actually came up. But like I said, you know Esau coming up from nothing, you could get put in those positions, but you ain't finna be 20, you know, that young making 6 figures, and you came up from nothing.
That's what I'm
Yo,
saying.
somebody got connections.
Yeah, somebody got connected.
Somebody got connection for him to have that job.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, it's another Edomite that I work, Salaki, bro. It's another Edomite that I work with. He just turned 30, making over 6 figures. You know. Now I don't know about his upbringing, but you can tell just by how he carried himself that he wasn't broke. You know, his parents had and his grandparents had, cause that's how they pass down to their next generation.
That's how they do it.
So to get where he at now, his folks had connections to put him where he at.
Yeah, somebody know the plant manager in there real well.
The old one.
Not only that, you know, you'll see.
We gotta
You'll see a lot of Edomites, you know, just in over there at JA in you know, just in private school. They already be driving a $60,000 vehicle truck.
Right.
You know, $70,000 truck.
Right.
You know.
Glad you said that. It was, I forgot where it was. It's somewhere in Texas.
Yeah.
And it was a brother that uploaded. It's the richest, I think it said the richest neighborhood or community either in Texas or in the United States. It was something like that, but everybody, the whole community is the number Esau. A whole community riding around in over, you know, cars that cost over $100,000.
Right.
They living in houses that cost $50 million, you know, just normally, like it ain't nothing. You know, Esau living, the brother they titled, look how Esau living.
Right.
That's how they, you know, living at the end of their kingdom. But going back to can you read that scripture again? And then Wisdom of Solomon.
He said, or as when a bird had flown through the air, there is no token of her way to be found, but the light air being beaten with the stroke of her wings, and parting with the violent noise and motion, then motion of them is passed through, and therein afterwards no sign where she went is to be found. Or like as when an arrow is shot at a marksman, it parteth the air, which immediately cometh together again, so that a man cannot know where it went through.
Read verse 9 and then skip to 13.
All those things are passed away like a shadow, and as a post that haste by.
Right, all those things are passed away. So Esau he's gonna lose it all. This man he's built this whole kingdom, which of course it was offered. We say he built it, but we know who did the hard work and labor. But this man's kingdom had been built up to be this great empire that he benefited from, and now he's losing everything. Because just like we talked about, you know, how these Edomites, they had all this money, all this wealth, and all these resources. Now these Edomites, they ain't got nothing. They in debt. This is a complete change from where they used to be. They had wealth, they had land, they had resources. You know, now the average Edomite is in debt, just like Jake. You know.
Oh, he's struggling.
Right, or they struggling.
Right.
They literally are struggling.
Yeah,
You know,
right,
for
right.
the past several jobs I have been on, they struggle, and they
Right.
struggling big time. Like
Right.
you said, they going back to the brother Hienas, you know, they coming in with noodles, you know, Roman noodles, you know,
Right.
the other noodles, and PBJs, and you know, all kind of stuff, because they struggle. You know, the inflation or the hyperinflation of the dollar has caught up with them,
Right.
and you know, it's you know, they get out of college making 50, 60, you know, 70, but you know, for them to live, it take every bit of that.
That's if they can even find. Well, you talking about the ones that you know.
Right.
But for the rest of them, that like you said, they go to college and they get these student loans. They get out this big student loan. They ain't just Esau that do this. They get this big student loan debt, and then they can't find a job in the field that they went to study for.
Right.
So now they got this big student loan debt, and now they ain't got the experience in the job, and the job wants you to have experience, but you can't get the experience because they won't hire you. So now people just realize how big of a scam all of this is. But it's funny, like I said, and it happened to a lot of us because, you know,
Yeah.
brothers and sisters, we all, you know, in that boat too. But it's funny to see it happen to Esau because this is your kingdom. This is the only chance you got at really thriving on the world,
Right.
and you suffering in your own kingdom.
Right. Right.
You know, so it's just funny because, like I said, I be laughing at a lot of these Edomites. You know,
Yeah.
this was your only chance, and well, I ain't gonna say only. This was your last chance to really just live it up, and you suffering. You know,
Right.
and then on top of that, you know, with the life, it ain't like you finna just live forever.
Right.
So you gonna have a certain lifespan to live, and then you gonna be going back to the spirit world. You didn't even really get the chance to enjoy your time in your kingdom.
Yeah, while you digging that ditch for us, you should have been digging one for yourself.
The one he did for us, he
Yeah.
fell in.
Yeah, he falling in it, yeah.
Verse 13, it says, even so when in like manner, as soon as we were born, began to draw to our end, and had no sign of virtues to show, but were consumed in our own wickedness.
We stopped at 16. Right? They said they were consumed in their own wickedness. So like the brother just said, the pit that they did for our people in the trap, they fell in their own selves. You know, they people. Because they wasn't, these Edomites, the lower level Edomites that we live around and work around, they wasn't against our people being at the bottom. You know, when they walk into an establishment, say they walk into a retail store, if they see Esau as the manager and Jake working, they think that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Now imagine they walk into a retail store and they see Jake in management and all the Edomites doing all the heavy lifting and work.
Right.
They even if they don't say nothing, they gonna have a problem with that. They probably be trying to convince one of the Edomites like you should be a manager. You know, trying to convince him to get out of being another Jake.
Yeah.
They really do be feeling like that. They don't like it when they see Jake ruling over their people
Right.
in any fashion.
Right.
Or seeing Jake ride around in nice vehicles or wearing nice clothes, and they know who the I guess the prominent Jakes are, you know, well manicured, you know,
Well off.
well, you know, not necessarily well off, but I'm just saying well manicured, well dressed, you know, speak, you know, decent language, and you know, he walk into a store somewhere, you know, they're gonna, I mean, all of the Edomite women and men gonna be nodding their head at you and speaking to you, you know. Now it's the ones that's below that and 2/3, you know, the ones that they frown up and look, but you know, they're jealous of the ones that are well groomed, well manicured, and when I say manicured, I meant well groomed, and you know, look like he's doing well off. Well, he may be struggling, but he just go out dressed nice, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and drive a nice vehicle. But you know, they treat them differently than they would just any other Jake that walk in or being and around.
you know, not only that, brother, you right about what you're saying. Also, and I think that like when you go in the store or something, or you around your enemy, Edomites and stuff like that, they know the regular Jake. Then they see another individual here, Jake, but they see authority. They see a man with honor and respect. They sees that,
Right.
and they look at you totally different. There's something curious about this man here. How he walk, how he talk, how he present himself. That show honor, respect, and power. What they do see.
Right.
That's
They,
it.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
They don't see no weak Jake. They see, oh, this he a totally different breed from the weaker where they them YNs, them more weed smoking guys.
Pookie and Ray Ray.
Yeah, Pookie and Ray Ray. Yeah, they see that.
And like you said, they could people in general, but especially Edomites, they can tell when it's something different about a certain man. Cause like you said, you gonna walk around with a certain level of confidence that you can't just fake. Like it's like a quiet confidence
Right.
where they can't really just figure you out.
Yeah.
They don't really know much about you, but they can't they see you as unbreakable too. Or they kind of see you like someone who doesn't break easily.
Right.
But you walk around with that confidence. Them Edomite women, women in general, they love a man that got confidence.
Right.
But especially, you ain't that outwardly or flashy confidence, that quiet confidence.
Right.
You know, they really just want to get to know who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how these women operate. Like
Yeah.
you said, especially Edomite women.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know your walk tells a lot of difference. Shows a lot of different respect about what type of man you are, your walk.
Right.
Yeah, how you walk. And people, they gonna get away from around you, or they'll presume or nod their head and show respect who you are, the way you walk,
Right.
who your character is.
And I see a lot of that walking around the hospital. I mean, you know, I done bumped into the director, and he nodded and spoke, and he had the look on his face like, who is that? You know?
Right.
And then the way I dress around, you know, I dress like I'm dressed now.
Right.
You know, I was dressing, I'm on a construction site now, but I was dressing a little bit more professional, semi-professional, casual, business casual. And, you know, it's well groomed and everything, but it's just like you said, it's just the way you carry yourself.
Yeah, carry
And, you know,
yourself,
I walk through the hospital like I own it, you know, because I walk with confidence, you know, and, you know, I'm confident about myself, you know, and that's the way we should walk, you know, because I know that Yahweh Shimei Abishai is walking with me,
Right.
you know, and I know that I'm being watched, not by the people in the hospital, but by him, in the angels. So, you know, you have to carry yourself in a certain dignified way.
All right. And I got one more thing left out. Now, I know y'all brother probably had the same thing happen to y'all when y'all around people. I done had people say, Zay, you think you more than us? I said, why you say that, man? I don't think I'm more than y'all. I ain't never, that all that never came to my mind. I'm just saying, think you more than us. I said, because how I'm respectable, how I carry myself. You know, where you get that from? Even your own people could be your own enemy, but sees that they'll think you more than them, the way you carry yourself, how you speak, and how you present yourself.
And really, they just see something in you that they don't have.
Right.
You know, you might not even be aware of it. That you know, you just exemplifying it. Cause that's just how you carry it. That's just who you are.
Right.
But they see something in you that they don't have, and it makes them jealous, and they kind of feel intimidated by it.
Right.
And not really just that they an enemy. It's really they admire something about you,
Yeah.
but they don't know how to really, they don't know how to explain it. So that's their way of doing it.
And I done had women tell me that. You know the same thing. I said, no, I ain't never thought of that. Well, you carry yourself like you think you better than everybody. I said, no, I don't. I can't see what they see, but only they can see.
Right.
Yeah, and I know it probably happened to, happened to y'all also. The hopefully.
Which and the scripture tells you, your knowledge will increase. So, when you get into the scriptures and get into the truth, you're gonna become knowledgeable on a lot of things that's happening on the world. You can't help that because the Most High has increased you.
Right.
But people don't see that.
Right.
They just see it that, oh, you think you know everything, because you're able to answer questions that they can't.
Right.
You're able to go to the scriptures and give them the answer to the question.
Right.
And they can't.
Right.
So you think you know everything. You
Right.
think you better.
Right.
So I mean, it's just something we have to deal with, not let it go to our head, but explain to them that knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Open the book and read it. And start with the Bible.
Yeah.
You
All right, I was telling Roman today, I said, the guys at work called me an L7. I said, man, ain't no L7. It's like you're a nerd. I said, oh, okay. I said, I guess that's what I'll be.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of it be people admiring you, because on the flip side, your energy and how you carry yourself and what how you utilize the knowledge that the Lord has given you, it'll draw people to you. They'll cleave unto. They really will cleave unto you, want to be around you, even when you don't want them around you.
Right.
Like, you might not be the type of person to just shoo them away, but internally you might be saying you don't want, you want to be alone or whatever. But
Right.
it's just how you carry yourself. It'll make people want to be around you.
All right.
And I more so had that happen to me throughout my life. I have, but of course, the more, like the brother said, the more you increase, the better you become at learning the gifts that the Lord has given you, then utilize them. Because even if you're not teaching the person directly out of the scriptures, you might be walking how the Lord tell you to walk, and that just make them want to gravitate to you.
In my prayers, one thing that I pray is asking the Most High in Yahweh Shem Yahushua to increase my light, that others may see Him through me.
Right.
And that's what they're seeing. They're seeing Yahweh Shem Yahushua through you, and they don't know how to explain it.
Don't know how to explain. Right.
Because a quote that I heard somebody say, people see Yahweh Shem Yahushua every day and don't recognize him.
Don't recognize. Right.
And that's what's going on. They see him every day and don't know him. But they know there's something different about that person.
Right.
I'm gonna get on back to the scripture. This Wisdom of Solomon 5 and verse 14, it says, "For the hope of the ungodly is like dust that is blown away with the wind, like a thin fort that is driven away with the storm, like as the smoke which is dispersed here and there with a tempest, and pass it away with the remembrance of a guest that tarrieth but one day."
Right, so it's basically going into how quickly they lose what they get, just like this kingdom. Compared to what we finna come into, it seemed like this hadn't been a long time at all, and now we at the end of this thing, so it seemed like it really ain't been that long, but even more so, like I said, at the end in our kingdom, it's gonna seem like Edom kingdom didn't even last that long. Like the scripture say, it's gonna seem as though it's been a dream. You wake up from a dream, it's like dang, I was dreaming. Now you woke up, and now it's over.
Verse 15, it said, "But the righteous live for evermore. Their reward also is with the Lord, and the cares of them is with the Most High." With the care of them is with the Most High. So, wherever they go, the righteous, the Most High got his angels encamped around them to protect them. So like with everything that's getting ready to come down, the most putting your faith in the Most High is where Isaiah 33:6, wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of the time. You know, trusting in him and believing in the unseen, the unknown, you know, is having faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai.
That gotta be a chariot. It's
That's what I'm
blinking in
saying.
and out.
That's
It
what
could be a
I'm saying.
planet.
No,
Right
that's
there.
a chariot.
That's
No,
what I'm
it's
saying.
moving. It just
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it's-
no, that's a star up there. It's the clouds.
Nah,
moving
you
from-
you missed it. It was going.
It was going.
Yeah, heading that way. It would blink bright, then it'll dim out. Then it'll come back, blink again, and blink and dim out. The blink level, like, or the brightness level it's past the building now, but the brightness level was different. It was
Yeah.
bright back. I seen it back that way. I thought it was a plane, but then I didn't see the lights flashing no more, so I kept looking for it. Then I seen it flash again, then dim out. That was a chariot. It'll flash in and flash back out.
Verse 16, it says, therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown from the Lord's hand. For with his right hand shall he cover them, and with his arm shall he protect them.
Right hand going into Yahweh Shai. You know, with an arm and Yahweh Shai. I mean, an arm and right hand is going into Yahweh Shai. So it said the elect is going to receive a glorious kingdom and a crown. And that's the same thing that's seen in 2nd Ezra chapter 2. You know, where Ezra saw the crowning of the elect. So this is the hope and expectation. This is the outcome of all of this that's going on. World War III, this is the outcome of it. You know, Esau Edom finally losing his kingdom, his power and dominion over the earth and his influence, the kingdom of heaven being established under Yahweh Shai, and the elect, well, the Israelites, starting with the elect, ruling the earth in righteousness. This is what we had to look forward to, and this is what we patiently waiting on. Our brothers got anything? On that note, we gonna close out. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love,
Right.
and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth.
Right.
Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. We hope this lesson was edifying. Until next time, we say Kwam Yasha Allah,
Shalom.
Abba, Abba,
Bob, Bob.
Shalom.
Shalom.